What is up, everyone? Mars here, bringing you guys the news in the flash. Let's get right into it. We start things off with Bungie, who has announced their next expansion for Destiny 2 called Forsaken, and I am actually really impressed with this. This is by far one of the best trailers that they've actually released so far with their current Destiny 2 lineup. The expansion is going to be taking place on the Reef this time with two new destinations to explore. One is the Tangled Shore and the other is the Dreaming City, which is actually the homeland of the Awoken, and it looks absolutely amazing. It's beautiful. It looks like it got torn straight out of like Lord of the Rings or Dark Souls or something. With this expansion, it's going to have a bunch of new armor pieces, weapons, and of course, exotics for you guys to find. The story is going to be taking on this kind of westerny vibe with it, with this barren wasteland which is overrun by lawlessness. And apparently it's going to have a focus around Cayde 6, who has been filling up the Prison of Elders for some reason. And guess what? There's another breakout. Now, I don't really understand why Cayde is the one who's filling up the Prison of Elders. I thought that was the job of the Awokens. Apparently some things have changed since the last time we've been there, and hopefully we get some answers on that, especially in terms of lore. But I'm really excited to see what this has been. Also, I think we see Varix in this trailer. Actually, I'm fairly certain that it is Varix. But boy, has he let himself get a little bit fat since the last time we've seen him. Once again, we are going against the Fallen, who are now being called the Scorn in this DLC, and are being led by these Beast Barons. I don't know whether we're going to be hunting those guys down during story missions or in strikes, but I'm fairly certain it's going to play some part into the game. And I have to say that I wasn't thrilled at first that they announced that they're basically just reskinning the Fallen. But once I actually got a chance to see them, holy hell, dude, they look amazing. Like, the armor pieces on these things just are freaking awesome. I love it. I love how interesting they look. And I love how in-depth the outfits look. This isn't some lazy, half-assed Siva character design change. No, this actually looks very interesting. The Barons, like I said before, I think we're going to be hunting them down either through stories or strikes, are especially fantastic, especially in terms of their weaponry and fighting styles. Very excited to see where that all goes. Now, some of the new features that are going to be coming for this expansion. For starters, the weapon system is getting a complete overhaul so that it will now have this hybrid mix between the weapon systems found in Destiny 1 and the weapon system found in Destiny 2. So instead of just having kinetic, elemental, and heavy, it's also going to be primary, secondary, and heavy, where secondaries are now going to include shotguns, snipers, sidearms, along with elemental weapons, and you can even have shotguns, snipers, and so forth in the primary weapon slot as well. So that'll be interesting. Masterwork weapons are also getting reworked, so basically they level up over time. There really wasn't a whole lot of information about what that exactly meant, so I don't really have an idea. Does it mean that it's going to have perks that could be unlocked over time and experience, similar to how it was in Destiny 1? Or does this mean that the more you use it, the more powerful it gets in terms of light level? I don't know yet. I have no real idea. They didn't really give a whole lot of context to that. Hopefully, they give more clues, a better understanding of it when they reveal more to this. They also revealed that they are bringing in new supers. They aren't bringing in new subclasses, unfortunately, but they're definitely bringing in some pretty interesting supers. Hunters are getting these new throwing knives that are on fire. And they're also getting a new feature with their Arc Strider ability, where you can basically pull off this Jedi deflect spin blocking trick that blocks off projectiles. Titans are getting this large flaming hammer, which can be swung around and inflict damage, or it can be slammed on the ground to create a projectile that fires outward and creates a tornado. That's pretty awesome. And Warlocks are getting this new super where they're basically teleporting all over the map like crazy, and then they just explode into this big ball that lingers and cast out damage. And they also seem to be getting this large, awesome laser beam, which looks pretty sweet. I'm not going to lie. I might actually switch up my Hunter class just to play that particular super. For the raid, Bungie is going back to their epic adventure style raid we saw in Destiny 1, and not this half-assed raid layer crap that they've been pulling with their last expansions. They're boasting that this raid will have the most boss fights out of any Destiny raid, and it will be taking place within the Dreaming City. Now, I've been joking with my friends. I've been saying, it would really suck if, the bosses actually turned out to be yellow bar enemies. Now, what is interesting is what Bungie has been saying about the Dreaming City and how it ties in with the raid. Basically, what they've been saying is that the Dreaming City will change over time, and it will change based off events that raiders complete. So I don't really know what that means, but what they're saying is that there's going to be new secrets and new activities that are unlocked as time progresses and these events are completed. And the Dreaming City won't be the same as it was 1 week as it will be in 3 weeks from then. Which I'm very curious to see how that's going to work. Is that going to be like the Infinite Garden, and where it's changing constantly? I don't know yet. We are also getting a new 4v4 PvP/PvE mode called Gambit, where 2 teams will be going up against each other, with each team going into their own arena and are being attacked by mobs of enemies. As they kill these enemies, they collect modes that are then deposited into a team's bank. This can then be used to summon a blocker or a high-tier enemy, which is summoned on the opposing team's side to basically lock off their bank, and during that time, one player is allowed to invade the opposing team's side to invade them. And this all sounds pretty cool and pretty interesting. I don't know how it's going to work out, but like my friends were suggesting, that it's very likely that there's going to be exclusive armor pieces and weapons that you can actually get through this. I don't know that for sure, but just based off how Bungie has been treating modes in the past, especially with like Escalation Protocol, I can highly see them doing that. In all, I have to say that I'm actually really excited for this expansion, and I haven't really been able to say that for a lot of the expansions. I wasn't really excited off the Warmind expansion, though it was alright. I thought the Warmind expansion was pretty good in terms of, story and content. I'm still not very happy with the raid layer thing that they decided to go with. I think that's really stupid, but I am happy that they heightened the difficulty of it. Power level. Power level seems to be increasing all the way up to 600. Which I think that's the highest they've ever actually increased the power level before. So that's going to take people quite a while to max out. And it also seems that the story is going to be diving a little deeper into the Awoken lore, but I don't really understand something. We didn't really see any Awoken in this trailer. We saw an Awoken ship, a royal ship, but we didn't see any Awoken. Where the hell are they? I mean, they're supposed to be in charge of the Prison of Elders. So I'm confused as to where they are. Either way around, the expansion is set to be released on September 4th. And there's also something else that's coming with this expansion that I wanted to touch upon. It's called the Annual Pass. And basically, the way that this is working is you're going to pay either an additional $40 if you're paying for it separately, or you're paying $70 with it bundled up with the Forsaken expansion. Now, what this annual pass are basically, I want to say like content expansions. Yeah, we'll call them content expansions because that's basically what they are. But they're like these small content expansions that Bungie is going to be releasing throughout the rest of this year and into summer of 2019. Now, that's cool and everything, but it's kind of odd. I don't really like what they're doing with it. I understand why they're doing it with it, but they're going to have to give me more details about it before I jump on board and be like, okay, yeah, I'm going to pay $70 for an expansion and what is essentially an expansion season pass. Either way around, the expansion is set to release on September 4th, and if you guys are interested in checking out the trailer, which they did leave that annual pass out of, I did notice that, you guys can check all of that stuff down below. Now moving on, Sleeping with Sirens has announced they are heading on a new acoustic tour next month with support from the Rocket Summer and Kulik. Check out the dates for that below. Square Enix has made the team behind the upcoming JRPG Switch title, Octopath Traveler, acquired, that's the development team, into its own division. Tomoya Asano, the division executive at Square Enix, has said this, and he says that they also want to focus on more original titles on the Switch. So that's interesting for all the Switch owners out there. It's always good news to hear that there's more companies jumping on board, making third-party games for the Switch. That's always a plus. And there's also apparently several other titles that they're currently working on as well. Moving on, Godsmack has announced they are heading on a brand new U.S. co-headliner tour with support from Shinedown and support coming from Asking Alexandria. The dates run through September and run into October. You guys can check those out below. Thrice has released a new song called The Gray. Check that out below. Now it's time for some things that are awesome. We got a new trailer for the new Bumblebee movie, which I guess is going to play out as this origin story for Bee in Transformers, which I'm cool with. You know, the trailer looks all right. It just kind of looks like they're taking a different direction with the series, and it seems like they're going to be focused more on characters than action, which, you know, can be good. I just don't know. I mean, if you have a good story with it, that's cool, but you guys can check it out below and let me know what you think. Next up, we got a trailer for the Lego Movie 2, the second part, which shows off the direct aftermath of the ending of the first Lego movie, where basically Brickburg is complete ash right now. It's turned into this Mad Max dystopian future state. And it also introduces the new villain character that comes in and steals a bunch of the master builders. Which, cool. It looks cool. It looks fun. And finally, we got a new trailer for Wreck-It Ralph 2. Ralph breaks the internet, and holy hell. The amount of product placement throughout this trailer is insane. Like, don't get me wrong. I love the idea of this virtual world where all of these companies reside and stuff, but Disney straight up flexing their influences. Like, they've got Google in there, they got Amazon, they got Snapchat, and of course they're flexing their own brands like Star Wars, Marvel, the Muppets, Disney World, and of course the Disney princesses. Which, there's actually a weird scene involving them, and I'm saying which a lot in this episode. But basically this scene plays out as where they meet Vanellope, and they're asking her about how she's a princess. And one of them finally asks, does everyone assume all your problems were solved because of a big, strong man showed up? To which she excitedly says, yes, what's up with that? Maybe I'm forgetting the premise of Wreck-It Ralph, but I don't remember that being the case at all throughout the movie. Like, I kind of remember her coming in and messing with Ralph's life and him having to get involved in her life because she messed with him first. But I don't ever remember Ralph coming in and straight up thinking that he was going to save Vanellope. Like, I don't understand how that trope plays in with Vanellope's story arc in the first Wreck-It Ralph. That doesn't make sense to me. Also, one of the princesses asked if she was ever kidnapped and enslaved, and yes, she was. I don't know why she said no to that. She was kidnapped in the first Wreck-It Ralph. There's a particular scene where she has chains just completely wrapped around her. And also her memories were kidnapped, or not kidnapped, they were locked away from her. So again, I don't really understand where that context is coming from. It was just a weird scene that kind of ignored the continuity of the first movie, and it caught me off guard. And also, I don't really like the political sense of it, but whatever, that's not really a problem. It's a kids' movie. But what do you guys think about it? Check it out down below and let me know what you think. Thank you all for joining me for this episode. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, dislike if you didn't, subscribe if you want more, and I will see you all on the next one. Mars out.